Welcome to Kurtland Farms. I'm Paige Miller. I am the herd manager here. We are located in Elverson, PA. Let's take a farm tour.
My name's Jared Kurtz. I am an owner here at Kurtland Farms with my wife Marla and my parents Tim and Deborah Kurtz. I am a fourth generation farmer here where we milk 330 Holstein dairy cows. Have a total of about 600 Holsteins in our farm, anywhere from newborn all the way up to mature cows. We milk our cows in a robotic milking facility using 4 Lely robots, which actually milk the cows around the clock. We also farm about a little over 300 acres, with most of those acres being primarily double cropped with corn and triticale. So my dad and I are the ones who make the majority of the management decisions on the farm. We oversee most of the herd health, animal care and treatment, the feeding, rations, cropping, everything that goes in to making sure that the cows live long and healthy lives. We also do this with our herd and calf manager, Paige Miller, who works right alongside of us, primarily with most of the cow and the calf management decisions and care. And then we also work with a team of part-time employees as well, in addition to the 3 of us. And they are the ones that do a lot of the hands-on feeding of our calves, some additional care for our animals, and help us really in the day-to-day tasks, the day-to-day chores of what needs to be done to ensure that our cows are healthy, cared for, warm and dry in the winter, and then and it's cool and sometimes even wet in the summer to help moderate their body temperature.
As the herd manager, I start my day bright and early in the morning. I come out here, I check all the cows, I do a walkthrough. I'll go on the computer and check for any cows that need to be brought to the robots to milk. I will walk out through the barn, find that cow, make sure she's all right, and then bring her up to the robot. As the herd manager, my job is to make sure that the cows are happy and healthy at all times.
So on our farm, we've done a number of things with the environment in mind to keep the best care, the best practices at the forefront of our farm to ensure that we're caring for the environment and our cows at the same time. One thing that we implemented when we built our new barn 10 years ago is that we actually take the cows' manure that they produce in this barn and separate out the liquids from that manure and reuse the solids as bedding for them in the stalls that they lay on. So the cows are actually laying on their dried out raw manure solids that they use for bedding. That keeps them warm and comfortable all year round. So that's one practice that we utilize. Another one is that the liquid portion of the manure we actually use as fertilizer on our farm. And the way that we do that is we take that manure, put it in tankers or through a long hose, and we actually inject the manure into the ground so that way it doesn't run off into any of the creeks that are nearby. Our farm actually sits at one of the headwaters of the Chesapeake Bay watershed, so it's very important to us as landowners at this point in the Chesapeake Bay watershed that the nutrients that our cows produce, which are great for our crops and our soils, don't end up in the creeks and run down into the Chesapeake Bay watershed where those nutrients are not so great. Another thing that we do with our cropping is we do all no-till and double cropping of our land. What that ensures is that there's always roots in the ground holding the soil in place, keeping the soil active and growing year-round, and never really ever sitting bare.
The first stop on our farm tour today is our calves. When a calf is born, she is fed a gallon of colostrum, which is the cow's first milking. She is also given a pill, which is like a vaccine to make sure she starts out nice and healthy. And she is also given a navel dip to make sure her navel dries up and stays nice and clean. Our calves are housed in hutches. They are typically individually housed. This keeps them separate and reduces the risk of diseases and spread of diseases. So if one calf gets sick, it's not infecting another one. In the hutches, after about 2 weeks, they start getting grain along with their milk. They get 4 quarts of milk twice a day. After the hutches, they move down to what we call our calf barn. They start out getting milk twice a day for 5 days, and then after that 5 days, they get milk once a day. They also get grain, and then after about 3 months, they start getting hay incorporated into their diet. The calf's diet changes as they get older because their stomach and their rumen needs to develop. So as they age, they're able to eat more grain, they're able to eat hay, and then eventually they get what we call a TMR. TMR is a total mixed ration. It can consist of corn silage, hay, triticale, grains. TMR is basically like a cow salad. Our calves are in the calf barn till they're about 5 months old. From here, they move to what we call the yearling barn, which is basically like middle school. In the yearling barn, our calves start off with a little bit of grain mixed with their TMR so they can have a nice smooth transition. We give them the TMR here to help encourage their rumen development even more, to prepare them to be an adult cow. This barn is nice and open. It has a lot of airflow and it allows the calves to get used to bigger group housing. They're in the yearling barn until they're about 11 months of age. Here they're housed in bigger pens than they were in the calf barn, and they will move to an even bigger pen once they get to the breeding barn. At the breeding barn, we can consider these high schoolers. Here at the breeding barn, they are housed in about a group of 30. They are kept inside the barn and they eat corn silage mixed with some brewer's grain and triticale. Brewer's grain is a product that is left over from the making of beer. We are able to feed it to the cows to produce energy because we as humans cannot consume it. After they are bred and confirmed pregnant, we send them out on pasture. From the pasture, they come up to our pre-fresh pen, which is where they will hang out for 4 to 6 weeks until they finally have their calf. When the calf is born, it is put into a clean hutch and she gets the same care that the mom cow got. Now that the cow has given birth, she will transition into our robot herd, our milking herd, and she will learn how to use the robot. Our milking cows are able to wander around the barn. They will bring themselves into milk at least twice a day. They could milk themselves anywhere up to every 6 hours. When they go into the robot reads their collar number and knows what cow it is. It'll give that cow a specific amount of grain. She'll eat that grain, which also gives her energy, while the robot preps her and milks her and then sends her on her way. So a cow will go into the robot for a couple different reasons. She'll be looking for that grain pellet, or she will feel all the pressure in her udder from all that milk that's in there and essentially go in and milk herself. Once the cow goes into the robot and the robot knows who she is, there is an arm that moves in. It brushes off her teats to clean them, and then the brushes come out, get sprayed with a cleaning product, and then rebrush her teat and dry it off. After the brushing process is done, the robot will then use a laser to find out where the cow's teats are and hook up each milking cup. The cow will be in the robot for an average of 6 minutes, and once it's done, each cup will come off individually when the robot senses that that teat is done, and it'll spray her with an iodine spray to protect the teats after it's done. The milking process for the cow is very relaxing. It massages her teats basically, and it allows her to get rid of that pressure in her udder, which makes the cow happy and healthy. After she is done milking and sprayed with iodine, she leaves the robot, and then the milk is pumped from the robot into the milk tank. From the milk tank, the milk truck driver comes, picks up the milk, puts it in his truck, and then takes it to the processing plant, and it'll be on your table in about 2 days.
So we do all that we can to make sure our cows are cared for well and in a comfortable environment year-round. Starting with our calves when they're born, we get them dried off right away and put them in a fresh, clean, newly bedded hutch. So before every calf is born, we clean out a hutch from the previous calf that was there. So that way the calf that is going into a new hutch right after birth is in a clean, dry environment that is as sterile as possible. We continue those practices all the way up as they're growing as heifers until they become mature cows and they come into our milking barn here. In this barn, as they are anywhere from 12 to 1,600 pound animals that produce a lot of heat and can sometimes struggle to stay cool in the summer. Some things that we do over the summer to make sure that they stay cool is we have sprinklers or soakers, misters that run on their back as they're eating at the feed bunk. And that helps ensure that their body temperature is as low as possible in the hottest days of the year. We also have fans that blow on them that help keep them cool through the summer. So that way when they want to go eat, drink water, lay down, they feel comfortable enough to do that and continue to want to eat through the summer as well. Some things that we do in the winter is in most of our barns we actually have curtains that will automatically close when it gets cold, and that keeps some of the winter elements, some of the air, the cold air that could potentially blow into the barn. It keeps it out as more of a climate controlled environment. We utilize a number of different pieces of technology on our farm. So yeah, the robots, which allow us to track data from the cows, really from anywhere in the world at any point in time, where we can go onto an app on our phone and look up a specific cow's information, their data points, when they got milked, how much milk they gave, if they're pregnant or not, a whole bunch of other different data points that really help us monitor their health and overall performance. Then we also have a feed pusher, which will come down and push up feed every hour to the cows to make sure that they have feed accessible to them 24 hours a day. As a farm located where we are, in a pretty developed area with lots of neighbors, a major road that runs right through the middle of our farm, with property that goes right up to the Pennsylvania Turnpike. One thing that we always keep in mind is how are we being good neighbors and stewards of our land in the midst of our busy community. So we try and make sure that the smells that our manure produces as we put it on the fields, we try and minimize that through manure injection, so that way the manure isn't spread out all over the place and creating more of a scent. We host many farm tours and field trips for younger school groups, for kids to come and see how their food is grown and produced. So over the summer we also run a small farm produce stand where we sell sweet corn, cantaloupe, watermelon, produce, things like that, which really allows us to have some touch points with our neighbors, with our community, and establish some relationships where they can see and get to know who we are, even though that's not the primary revenue source for our farm. It just allows us to kind of get our faces out there and build some relationships in our community. On any given day on our farm, we might have 4 different generations working and helping out. My grandfather still helps us with various farm runs, picking up parts, helping out here and there. My dad and I are actively involved every day in the management and running of the farm, and then my kids are starting to help out some as well with some of the smaller tasks on the farm. So it's not uncommon for 4 generations working together on the farm and really making it as successful as what it is. You know, having 4 generations work together on the farm on any given day is important to me, and I value it because it's almost a way that things used to be in our culture and our society, and it's not too often that you can have, or people have the opportunity to work with multiple generations on a day-to-day basis. And we think that we're incredibly blessed to be able to do that and work together and build those relationships together as a family, and something that we can leave for future generations as well, where we can all come out, work hard in a day, and then spend time together as well, and on the same land that has been in our family for over 100 years.
Here at Kurtland Farms, we take pride in being involved in the community and giving them good quality milk from happy, healthy cows. Hope you guys enjoyed the farm tour today of Kurtland Farms. Thanks for adopting a calf.